Hello again. In this video, we're going to cover how to import a video, or in your case, videos, into your work, into your web page. First thing you'll need to do is export your video your animation from After Effects. When you export it, it'll either be a .mov or a .avi, depending on if you're using Windows or Mac. You need to also make sure this is in 1920 by 1080 resolution if possible, at the best settings. In order to know how to do that, please refer to online materials or Blackboard, or if you're really confused, ask your lecturer. Right, so once you have exported your .mov, .avi, whatever format it's popped out at, we then need to convert that into three web readable formats. These are .webm, .mp4 and .ogg. You can do this via a piece of software which is freely available for both Windows and Mac called Miro Video Converter. And in order to use that, you simply drag your animation video into Miro, click on video as a format, and convert it to the three formats I previously just said. Once you have converted the video into those three formats, those then need to be copied into your website folder, same places where you've put your images and any other associated materials for this project. I can't show you how to do this presently, due to the fact that this machine is fairly new and doesn't quite have the software set up for this sort of thing. However, it is covered in the guides, and there are multiple ways of doing it. You could also convert it into those three formats via Adobe's media encoder. As long as it's a .webm, a .mp4 and a .ogg, you can't go too far wrong as long as it's in the same folder as your .html, which is index.html in our case here. Right, so to kick things off, we now need to declare our video tags. So what I'm going to do, if you actually go onto Blackboard, there will be a PowerPoint presentation which actually does show you the code that we're going to be using. What I'm going to do is actually copy and paste a piece of the code in, just for the purposes of having a reference guide as we go through this. So what we see here, well, I'll retype it as we go along. So this is the kind of code we'll be trying to produce. Actually, we'll be requiring an extra source type, which will be our web app. So right, so what we'll do is you want to type out this code as you see here. Now this bit here where it says movie.mp4, this will be where your actual video lies in your directory. So we can click browse, we can find our video that's on our machine and get it and basically copy it into there using the browse tool. Like I said previously, I do not have copies of all these formats on my machine presently, but I can show you it working with one format. Now, the importance of having free video formats is it doesn't show free videos on your page. What it's doing is it's finding the first available video that browser can play. Different browsers can support different video formats essentially, with Google Chrome being typically the most accepting of all formats. What we've got here is a inline CSS styling. So we have video, which denotes what type of content we are working with, so video open and then video close at the end of it all. We have our width value, which is the width of our video that we're going to create. This should be in relation to the width that we give our page. So we're working to a 680 width for our content area, so you don't really want to go any bigger than that value really in that sense. And if your video is a 16 by 9, this should also be these values should be proportionate to a 16 by 9 value. These are just some values I've plucked off the top of my head, which gives it like this. Now, the next thing you need to make sure is in there is this very important bit of code here, controls. That'll actually allow us to have this element here so we can play, change the volume, skip forward, etc. Without that, the user will not be able to control the content. We can also add in a poster element. Now, a poster is like a thumbnail or still. By default, your web page will generate one. But if you're not happy with the poster image it creates for your video, you can type in poster equals open quotation marks, browse for an image that's on your directory, so we can actually use the same image we've used already previously, but you can use different ones. And as you see here, that is now our still image that we're using. This white text here is the text that appears if these free video formats can't be found or don't work. And the type here is the type of content to control. You don't need to change any of these values, and it doesn't really matter what order you do these three in. I personally prefer having .mp4 at the beginning, only because it's generally often the most playable format in a lot of browsers. Source opened. Right, I can ignore that because that's not actually doing anything. That's a problem. That's fine. Sometimes you get erroneous errors like that, but as long as the content works, we're typically okay. So if we now go to our live view, oh, doesn't like that, does it? Right, so we'll move that across there. Now you'll see as we scale this, the content's being pushed along each other. I'll show you how to do that in a bit in the next video in terms of formatting. So you'll see your video probably doesn't play in here. We may have to give it a kick, possibly. This is probably because I haven't got the actual video formats generated on my machine, but we can preview this in our browser and it should find it. So we go 4 minutes 33, which is the right length. If we click play, we can play the video. We've got controls of audio. We can full size it, shrink it. Generally got complete control of it there. Your video would work in this browser possibly. Don't be too worried if it doesn't, because you'd have to .webm, the .org and .mp4. I've only exported my video test as a .mp4, so that's why it's not showing up in this browser here. I wouldn't worry about that at the moment. But just so you know, you need to have these free video formats with the name that being your animation that you've exported it as. So we could call it dreamtime.mp4 or timecorporation.mp4 or your name.mp4. Whatever you've called your file, that's what you'd have there. So that's where we've got our video controls in there now. So there we go, that's our video element in there. Right, let's look what we need to do next. So we've got the text in there. I'm going to put a bit more paragraph text in there, just so we've got some more text goes here, just to show we can do that. I am actually going to get rid of this bit here for the time being, because that's going to screw up the way I want to stylize this in a second. Quick note actually is although we've got pre-built tags such as paragraph and header, so H1, P, image, video, etc., etc., we can generate our own. So we could have this as photo text / photo text, and if you want to put a break anywhere, you can do a BR tag, which is a break tag, so that moves it down to the next line, just so you know. So up here we can actually, if we wanted to, we could have control of paragraphs without impacting each other. So we can go green there, and then we could have footer text open color black. There. Now Actually, black's going to be a bit obvious. Go red. Red's a bit more. There we go. So as you see here, we've got our paragraph here in green, and we've got our custom tag in red down here. We could also apply font families to this, like we did with our header, and size and background colors, etc. If you want to see what happens when you type in background color, we can have a quick show of that now. I'll do blue for the purpose of this. Background color will color everything within that content area in a solid color. That's a good way of highlighting specific text if you wanted to. So if we wanted to, we could quickly change that back to a P, change that back to a P there. Then we can go HL for highlight. I'm creating a custom tag here that will generate bits that we want to highlight in a different color. So I'll just change our font text there to HL. So there we go. As you see here, we can have tags within tags. So we have our open paragraph, our text, our closed paragraph. But to pick out our keyword that we want to draw attention to, we can stylize that individually within its own tags within the paragraph text area. We can also apply, if we wanted to, a font style. So we can make that italic. So as you see now, it's italic, or we can yeah, we can just basically apply different things in there to promote it differently if we wanted to. We could even change its font size so that specific area is a larger size if we wanted to. Or font weight actually will be probably better. So we can go to bold. There we go. And that's now boldened that text. So just to quickly show you that you can control elements within elements that way. But we're going to show you now a really cool, easy-ish method of styling your web page to how you want to, using what's known as a divide tag. And we'll cover that in our next video in detail. So